Hey everyone, Margarita here. It's Monday, March 3rd, 2025, and I'm about to call the city on this is the third gas spill Ford Motor Company has spilled where my house sits here in Flat Rock, Michigan. So I want to record the phone call because I usually have an odd response, or they can't comprehend, the severity of my condition or how I know what I know, or they just try to act like I'm crazy or it's something else causing my symptoms when I don't need somebody to tell me. So I'm going to record this because I do plan on releasing these videos. If depending on the response, I may just skip right forward and release everything that's been going on with these spills immediately because I need my story to go viral. I'm to the point where I can't properly produce income, and a lot of that is due to these spills and my mother's ongoing crimes. Actually, 100%. If you include my mother's crimes and these spills, that's 100% of the reason I cannot produce income, along with the people who caused my initial injury. But I was struggling along and still able to produce income only because I'm self-employed and I've been for a very long time. And I usually have numerous forms of income, but at this point, due to everything that's gone on, I'm unable to produce income at this point. And I'm basically counting on these videos to eventually go viral. They will eventually go viral. It's just a matter of getting all the information on film because it's a lot. So depending on the response, I might skip forward and just release it anyway. But it's easier to understand if you understand my initial injury first and what had all happened prior to that first spill. It'd be easier to understand it in that order. But if I have to, I will jump forward and release everything. So here we go. I'm going to call, and we're going to see how this goes.
Thank you for calling Motor&City.
Hi, can you hear me very well, or do I need to call from my other phone?
I can hear you okay right now.
Oh, okay, yeah, so this phone kind of cuts in and out. But my name is Jamie Camarda. I live on Olmsted Road. I know I've called probably about 6 months ago, and then initially during Ford's gas leak in 2021. The problem that I'm having currently is that Ford Motor Company did spill more gasoline about a month ago. I've basically been sheltering in place since that day, and it has been really cold. So when that happens, the particles stay very low into the sewer system because it does flow into the sewer system right where my house sits in the front. And it does travel throughout the entire system, and it ends up blanketing the entire area of Flat Rock. And then once the precipitation starts, it spreads every which direction out. Now that the weather's starting to break, the particles are raising up, and it's been about a month. So I can definitely tell more about where the situation is at. I can't use the upstairs portion of my home. My son and I are already overloaded with carbon monoxide. We've already been forced from our home for 1.5 years during the initial gas spill in 2021. Coming back, I found over 100 grand in damage to my home done by the people who stayed in it while I was gone. Couldn't even make a police report on that due to the negative actions of the Flat Rock Police Department and my mother's delusional phone calls to them over the course of the years, specifically Matthew Wilczynski. And he's already threatened to falsely arrest me numerous times, so I tried to report the damage to my home because it was criminally negligent. And he was screaming in my face, kicked me out of the police department. So the people caused all the damage. I can't even go after. I can't even get any proper documentation on. And I can't even take them to court yet because I'm still arguing with my homeowner's insurance over the rest of the funds to finish the work on the home. It's only 70% done. I've been working on it for over 1 year. So I have numerous issues here. I'm now under Chapter 13 bankruptcy due to Ford's repeated spills, due to my initial condition that was initially left untreated. My son and I cannot receive treatment at a hospital. My mother was their employee for 45 years, and there is heavily falsified medical records of ours within their system. We cannot go seek treatment there no matter what. And the problem is we are under treatment long-term at a private facility. So the reason we're that sick is the brain tissue has to be repaired, and it took years of everyday treatment to repair it to a certain degree before I was significantly re-injured by the Flat Rock Police Department right before Ford's first spill in 2021. So it's not, you can't just fix our problem. Our initial injury that caused us to be in this state was very extreme, and I haven't received compensation from anyone. I've paid my own way out of all of this. And now Ford has played a significant role in what has gone on with my financial situation, with my home itself. We should have never been forced from my home. There shouldn't be damage to my home. This home was supposed to be turned into an Airbnb years ago. So there's numerous problems here. And we're very sick. My son just threw up. My brain's been bleeding for 2 weeks. I don't need somebody to tell me where the particles are. I don't need to second guess. I know exactly where the particles are at all times due to my brain tissue being open. They spilled a significant amount. And there's a problem. I need the city to flush the sewer systems because we're contained to one room. In our $400,000 house, we are contained to one room that has the most walls between the front flow lines of the sewer system and the back of the home. I have plastic coverings on all of my windows. I have an air scrubber in here, and we are still very sick. We can't really travel from point A to point B. There's a very serious issue. And I've been filming my life story and everything we've been through since the beginning of my injury, because now that it's to where it all is, these are RICO crimes, and they do tie back to my mother at the root. But due to that, she places delusional phone calls to all of these agencies, the hospital systems, all these other courts involved outside of Flat Rock, outside of what I just said. It's been going on for years. So I've been filming for a very long time now, 8 months. And I intend on going public with everything. And if I have to, I'll do it. I'll skip to right where we are right now. And I'll release this part right now if I have to save our lives. But I'm trying to do it in order because it makes more sense if you understand what I've been through initially to get us where we are today. So I'm trying to do it in order. However, everything we've been through is quite a bit. So I don't know what else to do but call the city and let you guys know that Ford has a very serious issue. They should not be spilling large amounts of gasoline in the manner in which they are, as frequently as they are. There is a very serious issue here. And you have two people who own the home who are extremely unwell without the ability to seek any type of medical help. And even if we were still treating at the private center, we're out of funds right now. So we're not treating right now, which is very dangerous and even more life-threatening because at the very least, we have to maintain treatments. So there's just a lot to our situation. But we wouldn't even be able to travel to and from with the particles out and about. Where it all spreads to once Ford spills, it spreads everywhere. It's never contained. I don't care what anybody's, saying or telling anybody. It doesn't come from, the sump pumps. It's coming from the outside air. It comes through the windows. It's in the entire area. I can tell everybody exactly where it is. My body is a detector due to the overload of carbon monoxide in my system and my open brain tissue. I don't need somebody to tell me. But we wouldn't even be able to travel to the treatment center and back to get the treatment. And they're $200 a treatment per person. So all we would be doing is reversing the treatments with each drive there and each drive back when there's a spill like this. So, I don't know what else to do. It's just getting ridiculous. I can't even sell the home due to the damage and due to the actions of the police department and Ford and my mother. So there's numerous problems here. I do fully intend on exposing every single person involved. So basically, I'm calling because I need the sewer system flushed. And the last time I called, somebody did come out and talk to me, but he wasn't understanding that I wasn't asking him to tell me what's causing my symptoms and what was going on. I know exactly what the problem is. It's just because everybody else has a blood-brain barrier that's intact. Most people have their blood-brain barrier intact. You don't survive an extreme brain swelling episode, have the whole thing blasted away and live through it. That never happens. That's extremely rare for that to happen. And he wasn't understanding that. And so it doesn't make any sense. me or having somebody come to my house. It's not at my house. It's in the entire area. It's a significant amount, enough for me to take a 5-minute drive and come back and be living with extreme brain bleeding in a 10-minute trip. And that much blood came out of my ears.
Let me get you to my director. Can I put you on hold just a second?
Yep.
Good morning, this is Eric. Can I help you?
Yeah, so my name is Jamie Camarda, and I live on Olmsted Road here in Flat Rock. And so Ford Motors Company has spilled liquid gasoline 3 times since I've owned this home since 2017. So since 2021, they've spilled 3 times. Where
did you come up with that information? Because we only had the one leak at the end of 21.
Because I'm severely overloaded with carbon monoxide. I was severely poisoned in 2016, and then I returned to the source and overloaded with it in 2018 and removed myself. And I have a deranged mother up in the mix who also worked for Beaumont for 45 years. She's now retired. We were left for dead with no treatment initially for that initial medical emergency. And I've basically had to self-pay at a private center and stay homebound and treat an inpatient injury as an outpatient situation for years on end. And we lost 5 years of our lives, and our home was our safe space right before that first gas leak happened in 2021. I don't need somebody to tell me where it is. Due to my injuries from the initial carbon monoxide overload, it exploded through my blood-brain barrier. I had a 4-hour brain swelling episode. It exploded internally, and then we did not receive treatment, and I laid here fighting for my life for years. And so that brain tissue is open. That brain tissue is what stops particles from entering one's system. So there isn't other people out here walking around with that condition. Nobody lives through it to talk about it. I'm an extremely rare case. And I gave birth while suffering from the carbon monoxide poisoning as well in 2016. And that initial injury is what caused me to return and overload in 2018. So it didn't all become known until 2018. So with that brain tissue being open, every breath I take goes right through my system. I don't need I don't even need a detector of any kind. I have very specific symptoms when it's Ford's gas. I have brain bleeding. I've been living with brain bleeding since they spilled about a month ago. They spilled at the end of August 2024. And it was not a significant amount like the one in 2021. It was maybe 10% of that. But this
How
one,
did you get this information on them spilling more fuel? Because we have no
I know,
picture of any of that.
Right? Because they're not going to report that because my brain tissue is open. So every breath goes right through. I know exactly.
Okay, well, the gas leaks would have released hydrocarbons. Carbon monoxide.
No, I'm not saying it has to do with carbon monoxide. It doesn't have to do with carbon monoxide.
You might have a problem with your furnace or your house.
No, it's not. It's not. I know exactly how this works. My brain tissue is open. It does not matter what the gas is at this point. I have no protection against any chemicals, particles of any kind at this point due to my initial injury. So it's not just carbon monoxide I have a problem with now. It's every particle of every kind. And the Ford's liquid gas causes very specific symptoms within my son and I. So every breath of every single thing Even the Wixom spill that happened, I believe it was 2022, that was a problem for us because it was so much. It was 15,000 gallons. That eventually made its way to Flat Rock, and it made its way to Ohio as they were flushing that. That was a problem. That's its own set of symptoms. Each gas causes different symptoms. I'm not just sensitive to carbon monoxide due to the brain tissue being open. There's no protection against any forms of any chemicals or gases. So I'm very well aware of this. This is the third time this has happened. You know, I own a $400,000 home, and I can't even sell it because of all the crimes that happened to me during the initial gas spill in 2021. And the people.
What's your address? What's your address there in Olmsted?
It doesn't matter the address. It's in the entire area. I can't even travel from point A to point B.
I know, but what does it have to do with us in the sewer system?
Because that's where it flows through. It flows through the sewer system and it takes over the entire area. I've been through this 3 times. So due to my condition, I'm very well aware of how all this works.
Okay, we had one fuel leak in 2021 and everybody got an all clear after that.
No, it wasn't all clear. I needed 0. And because it was not 0, because my brain tissue's open, I was forced away from my home for a year and a half. While the mayor's on the news talking about nobody's been injured. We're still having problems due to that initial problem from 2021 and the damage to my home.
Is this the house that you rented out?
I rented my home out for a year because I was forced away due to us living on the floor with our brains bleeding from the 2021 spill because they did not clean it up 100%. All clear is not 100% cleaned up. That's 90% cleaned up. Our brain tissue is open, so we can't have it has to be 0 literally. And this is where we had been recovering for the previous, 3.5 years at that point when that spill happened. We had been completely homebound for that 3.5 years prior with no spills from Ford whatsoever during that time until that 2021 spill. So with my gas, with the gas spills, it goes straight through my brain tissue. And the EPA's all clear is not all clear. So that's what forced me away. That's what forced me to put somebody in my home for that year. And then they did $100,000 in damage. And I can't even report it to the police department because Matthew Wilczynski takes delusional phone calls from my deranged mother. And he wouldn't even let me report it was criminal negligence. Wouldn't even let me report it. Started screaming in my face and told me he's ready to waiting to come back to my home to falsely arrest me again, is what he said to me that day I tried to report it. Can't even sue them in court. A, they have nothing. And B, I'm still arguing with my homeowner's insurance over the damage to get the rest of the funds to finish the work. It's only 70% done. From that.
Okay, what can I do to help you today? What are you asking of me?
I need you guys to flush the sewer systems.
We don't flush the sewer system on a routine basis. Flushing the sewer system has nothing to do with
I mean, you can call the EPA out here, take air samples in the general area. You'll find it. It doesn't have to be in my home specifically. It can be anywhere in Flat Rock. It could be anywhere. You know, I know the spill initiated in Flat Rock. I know where it came from. So you can put the EPA anywhere and have them checked. Have them check the outside air. Have them check. I mean, I can show you in my home which rooms have higher levels.
Do you need the fire department to come by and test your home for air quality?
I mean, they're not going to they're going to say, oh, it's within legal limits is what they're going to say. We literally have to have 0. I know which rooms are clear and which ones are, and they're not even all clear. I have one room that stays more significantly clear than the rest, but I have a 3,000 square foot home and I'm contained to like 2 of the rooms. So this is the 3rd time this has happened to me. And like, I mean, all that's going to prove is I can tell you which rooms are going to have higher levels than the others. And they're going to say, oh, it's fine because it's within EPA's legal limits. Well, we can't have EPA's limits. We have to have 0 due to our initial injury and how we were left untreated and how we're self-paying at a private center. I spent what I owe on my mortgage to keep us alive at the private center. Also, we were never reimbursed for all those treatments I had to pay for out of pocket during that gas spill when Ford was on the news telling everybody, oh, we're going to take care of any medical bills that that we've created during this. They acted like they never received them, covered the whole thing up, took my mother's delusional phone calls, never got a penny. That was all self-pay, and that was just to keep us alive while being forced to stay in the home until I got us out of here and bought another home. And now I'm under Chapter 13 bankruptcy. I have no money left. I can no longer work. I have to shelter in place. Can't even travel from point A to point B. My son's throwing up. So we got an issue here. And I've been filming for 8 months, so I'm going public with this, whether it be now or whether it be when I tell it in order. I'm going public with all of it.
Okay, I mean, threatening to go public has got nothing to do with me because our numbers are within EPA specs. There's not anything I can do as far as flushing the sewer system.
I doubt they're within EPA. I doubt they're within EPA's limits right now. I doubt it.
Any what?
I doubt that currently, the levels that are out there currently are within EPA's legal limits.
Okay. If you feel this way, call the EPA, have them come out and test your house specifically.
I did that the last time. It doesn't have to be in the house. It's everywhere. It's in the entire area. How am I supposed to get to the grocery store?
Listen, I can't control the entire area. I control the sewer system. The sewer system is not routinely flushed. It was flushed and cleared by the EPA after the 2021 fuel leak.
But they just spilled. They just
I
spilled.
cannot fix what's in the air.
They just spilled again, though. I know they did.
Well, call EPA and tell them they spilled.
I did that last time. They don't come out. They don't come out. I had to go above the EPA.
Reported spills, Smith. I don't know what to tell you. I cannot come and just flush the sewer system. That's not how it works.
I mean, you guys can get the EPA out here. Me being an individual fighting against 20 large agencies who work against me, isn't going to do anything.
We have to have testing to get them out.
So, I am 100% certain that it's out there. You can get them to test where the police department is. You can get them to test at the end of the street. You can get them to test 2 miles down the road, near the Hero Park, wherever. It doesn't matter. You're going to get results. So I tried to call them the last time. They didn't come out. I went above them. And basically, some agency above them, I told them how severe the situation was, how sick we were. And all of a sudden, it started raining out of nowhere for days. And that's how they took care of that slight spill back about 6 months ago. But the EPA refused to come out because they said they can't come out. They have to be invited by the city. Ford's not admitting they spilled anything. Ford shouldn't just be spilling repeatedly like this. That's not normal. There's something going on there if it's going on like this many times.
Okay, I'm going to give you a phone number here. You need to call back and talk to the city administrator.
Okay.
His name is Brian.
Okay.
And it's 734 782 2463.
782-2463.
Tell them what you're concerned with.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you. Are you serious? All right, let's see where this goes. I'll be back.